So, the Lord who fully attained perfect enlightenment, to the teaching which he expounded so well, and to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, to these the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, we render with offerings our rightful homage. It is well for us as the Blessed One, having attained liberation, still had compassion for later generations. May these simple offerings be accepted for our long-lasting benefit and for all the happiness it gives us. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed One. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha. Now let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened. Homage to the blessed, noble, and
It's really
let's take some time. Precious time. Precious time to enter one's presence. Mm. Mm. To establish this sati, mindfulness, we ask, where am I now? What's here now? Where am I now? And you put aside all the labels of district, town, street, country. These are just labels. Where am I now? You might think I'm a body, I'm in a body, but perhaps even that can be just put aside. That's what are you referring to? What can you refer to that really is about where you are. What can you refer to that's not something out there? Sensations may coming and going, memories come and go, ideas, energies come and go, moving, changing. Mm, mm. Mental agitation, mental movement. What am I supposed to do? How do I feel? What's going on? Mm. Yeah, where am I in all this? Not rejecting all this, not rejecting it or getting upset by it or favoring it, but just within all this that's occurring, this is occurring to me, isn't it? It's happening to me. Yeah. Physical sensations, mental moods, happening to me, aren't they? Mm. And putting aside what we can think, what do we feel? What is this that's being touched, affected, receiving impressions, sometimes stirred by impressions, sometimes agitated by impressions. Yes, that's what it does, but where is this? Mm. In all this, entering presence. So this reference point, how old are you? No, it doesn't, that's nothing to do with it. There's no age to it. There's no, it's not happy, it's not unhappy. It's quite simple but it's stable because every occasion you cultivate this, you can refer back to that same place, point, reference. It's stable. And around that, mm, gives rise to a certain spaciousness or dispassion towards what happens, which is of another dimension. What happens may be impressions, physical impressions, mental impressions. That happens. Moods, energies happen. Sometimes waves of trembling, shivering, or even uplifted. But within all that, the steady, stable, then things get very simple because you have that sense that it's something that is stable, almost tangible. It's not just an idea, it's quite resolved, it's quite firm. And as it becomes firm just by shining the light on it, just by bringing it into awareness, it firms up. And we're not doing anything other than just making it known. So the awareness of this, it's like it illuminates something that can be forgotten, lost, underneath the considerable input of impressions, memories, urges, pleasant, unpleasant feeling, and reactions, and wish to make things different, wish to get to conclusion, wish to have an answer. Quite understandable. It's not evil. We're not fighting with those or dismissing those, just but that's that. That's of a particular dimension. Our responses and reactions as they arise. And the quality of presence, if you bear that in mind, the center of all this, the responses that are just shaky or uncertain begin to dissolve, become calm. And not getting any energy. The reactions that are panicky or reckless or just sporadic, just reflexes, reactivity, begin to kind of fade out. Not because you dismiss them, just because the energy of presence, it's almost like a magnet. It gathers the energy of activity and reaction. It gathers that energy. So the energy of our reactions and responses isn't just flying around hither and thither. And once again, to emphasize, it's important not to dismiss what's happening to you, not to judge it. You feel irritated, anxious, angry about the state of the world, really hurt by what's happening to you or to other people. Yeah, that's all. That's what's happening. And then we might have responses, might feel frustrated, impotent, can't get things done. Why don't people be other than they are? What can I do? I'm going to, okay. Yeah, that's all very human. So we're not judging or dismissing any of this. Just, yeah, accept, allow, accept this. But maintaining presence. It's not going to, it has no judgment, but it does create a certain, by its steadiness, it begins to filter out what is just knee-jerk reactions from qualities that might be purposeful. Yeah. So a knee-jerk reaction may be blaming, which is, yeah, sure, but what good does that do? Knee-jerk reaction may be criticizing yourself. Well, how useful is that? But when there's presence, steady, stable, I'm thinking for deeper, more mature, more assured responses begin to arise. These may be responses of compassion or forgiveness, maybe a response that suggests you just relax a little. Responses of compassion. But they all carry a quality of presence with them. So there's a certain resolve, they're firm. And responses become firm, clear, fearless. and not manufactured by what we think we should be or what other people want us to be. They're direct, coming from the quality of presence. Is selfless. Uh, mm. This is a treasure. This is a treasure. Once again, if you return, asking yourself that presence question, or am I? It's time to kind of rest, place it within the body. Any aspect of body could be, you know, physical aspect. It's in my chest, my belly, my back. Probably much more in terms of my body energies. There's the warmth, the mobile qualities, breathing, movements, firmness of earth, warmth, and so forth. In all that, what seems most stable. Mm. Although you can't exactly give it a name, stability, something in your awareness can recognize that because it is the partner of awareness. It's the specific. Awareness is very wide, expansive. This is the specific location of awareness now. It's the partner. So it's not a sensation, it's not a feeling, it's not a mood. It's the crystallization of awareness in the present. It's clear, unwavering. You illuminate it by bringing it into your attention. So bearing this in mind, can be borne in mind. Let's change the event domain or enter into something more verbal.
Brahma Chaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjali Anadivaram Ayachata Santida Sata Parajaka Jatika Dese tu Dhammam Anukampimam Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Hmm. One of the wise pointers that we may be given from time to time is about awareness, jnana. The Buddha comments one is mindful of the body in its movements, in its stillness, in its various forms and dispositions, running, moving, walking, lying down, eating, yeah, uh, arising factors, passing factors, changing factors. One is mindful of them to the extent to which there is knowledge, pure awareness. This is body. Yeah. So in a way, you know, so all the different changes that can happen. Sick body, healthy body, running body, sleepy body. You know, yeah, those are events, and there is just this awareness. There is body. It kind of draws us, extends our attention from change, not uh, dismissing change, not dismissing these qualities, but just reminding us that in all the things that change, come and go, there's a constant. Mm, There is body, there is mind, there is feeling, there is a potential to be sensitive to, you know, various feelings may happen, agreeable, disagreeable, and there is the ability to be sensitive. There is feeling. We're in a feeling experience. Feeling happens. Sometimes acute, sometimes subtle, rapid surges, dull, all of it. Some we want, some we don't like. So there's also chitta, which is receiving these impressions and vibrating with them. Yeah. Sometimes struggling, sometimes desperate, sometimes enjoying, sometimes absorbing, sometimes expanding, winding and open, sometimes contracting, sometimes light and bright, sometimes heavy and dark. There is chitta, there is heart. There are objects, various mental formations occur, heart formations, skillful and unskillful, irritable, disappointed, eager, warm-hearted. And there is these various objects of chitta. And at this particular point, just for the sense of establishing this awareness, we say, we're not really favoring the pleasant over the unpleasant, or the stability doesn't favor the unpleasant. pleasant over the unpleasant. Personally, I do. I like the pleasant. I don't like the unpleasant. But if I refer back to the stability, I have to acknowledge that, yeah, pleasant's like this, unpleasant's like that. One rises, one contracts, the chitta rises or contracts with that. And yeah, eventually there's this, just that stability. Mhm. And this definitely helps to avoid getting too excited about the pleasant and to uh, shut down by the unpleasant. One is reminded by stability, these things are nature to be conditioned, arise and pass. Mm. Mm. Including one's responses to them. And that's a very useful reference point. Somebody was saying the other day, it's rather like reading a book, looking at the words on the page, and also recognizing the white space behind the words, which is certainly, it helps to widen one's perspective. This is just words on a page. Yeah. And yet, we have to recognize all those words do have effects. And we're writing, if you like, we are all writers. We're all authors of our own script. We're all writing our own story, aren't we? Yeah. And that's necessary. I have to write the Ajahn Sucitto story about, where I'm going, what I'm doing, so forth. Fact, And one, I think with the requirement to not minimalize conditions, not to dismiss them as irrelevant or so what, or doesn't really important, not really important because awareness is the main thing. Awareness helps us to cultivate a certain relationship to what affects us and how we respond. And all that, it's all important. Awareness is important. What we're affected by. We see things that disturb us. We don't enjoy them. We see things we feel, oh, I could help her. We get perceptions and impressions. Yeah. Some of them may be distorted. I misunderstood. I didn't really see that correctly. I've been misinformed. Some of them we get a pretty good feeling. I think she looks like she could use some help. This is broken. I think I could do something. Then we get, I could do something. I could act. And of course, as living human beings, our actions may be just impermanent, but they're very potent. And one doesn't want to dismiss action as somehow secondary to awareness. Clearly, the Buddha was pretty active himself, thank goodness. If he hadn't been a bit active, where would this teaching have come from? In fact, he was phenomenally active, right till his dying breath, he was active. Moving, walking around, making choices, decided to go here and there, had a particular itinerary he'd work through in his year, where to spend the rains. He obviously had a clear plan where he was going. He knew what the seasons were. He could tell the seasons by the moon, the movement of the stars. So it was, when the monsoons were going to come, he knew that. Or he could estimate when it's going to come. So this wasn't a person walking around in some kind of disembodied, out of it, nebulous or absolute realm, The realm he was in was very much conditioned, specific, and he knew it, and he made a point of knowing it very clearly. in order to accomplish what he wanted to, what he felt was important. You know? And so, same for us, you know. So I think with, you know, sometimes awareness can be placed almost in opposition to activity, you know, that we're all frantically doing things, we're striving to attain something. You shouldn't keep striving to attain something. Well, I'm not striving to attain something. I don't want to suffer anymore. That's all. I'm not looking for some glowing rosy state. I just want to stop the pain. I don't see there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it's quite important. And particularly when the pain isn't just something about poor little me, it's about what I see around me. You know, and I see people getting hurt, and people getting lost, and people who could use some help, and people in distress. I don't think I want to stop the pain. You know, I don't want to stop receiving that. Uh, but I don't see it as an attainment. I just see it as a natural response. And certainly the Buddha wasn't stingy in terms of his responses to that predicament. But it's not about attaining anything, apart from, you know, actually being present and aware and letting those qualities mediate and modify and purify one's responses. Now, of course, we could say action itself is not a final thing. All actions arise and pass, and you know, you can do things, and 10 years later it's out of date. So, you you know, you could help somebody, and 5 years later they've passed away. So your action wasn't something that's going to be set in stone as lasting. Yeah, we could feel actions can never really find their final fruition. I'd like to help the world. Basically, I can do a tiny little bit, yeah, for a few people, but don't want to stop doing it. So the action is not constrained by results. It's not constrained by results. There's pure action, which is just appropriate action, which is not, oh, well, that didn't go. No, it went as far as it could in this time. Yeah. You know, so certainly personally, being aware of the environmental situation, I do everything I can to avoid using plastic. Um, it really disappoints me quite severely how much plastic is used around everything unnecessarily. I don't need a hammer wrapped in plastic. I don't need a box of screws to be wrapped in plastic. Yeah. I don't need plastic bags. Yeah. So, I try to moderate how much I take this. The monastery, our policy is to try to keep reminding people, please don't bring plastic bottles of water. We have this sign, please don't bring. We have our own well, which provides very pure, clear water. We've got plenty of water. We don't need you to spend 20 times more than what it costs to buy plastic, which has arisen from digging oil out of the ground, damaging the earth, dredging up this black fluid, using a whole lot of energy to distill it, right? Using more energy to heat it and shape it, and mold it, using even more energy to form it into something, more energy to transport it somewhere, so that we can throw it away. And there's no such place as away. It just goes into the earth or it goes into the water, then it goes back into us. There's no away. It's all here, right? And this is such a strong indication. There is nowhere else apart from where we are. There's no away. We breathe the air that's affected by what we put into it. We drink the water that's affected by what we dump in it, And this is the kind of the loop. So you think, well, okay, so I'm not going to be able to change that very much. But I can. I can say I can do this much and I'll keep doing this much because I do sooner do this much than do nothing. Because whatever, I want to stay in touch with the volitional tendency towards conscientiousness, concern, responsibility, restraint, wisdom, whatever. I want to stay in touch with that. That's coming from my presence. Now, personally, I can think, oh, what the hell? We're all going to doomed anyway, so why bother? To me, that's an inadequate response. It's an understandable response, but it's inadequate. I don't want to. What does that take me to? A feeling of, really unpleasant condition. So my response is like that, and I realize in some ways there's going to be very little results, but the main result is the quality of the heart is sustained. This is selfless action. And this is what the Buddha, when his action, it said all the Buddha's actions have no karma. In other words, they're not measured by how much other people appreciate or are affected by it. That's not his concern. It is and it isn't. Obviously, he's teaching people in order to help them, but whether they pick it up or not, whether they approve it or not, he's not going to make anything out of that. But it never stops because he's never disappointed by people messing it up or not being able to get the point or not listening. And so you can keep it going. So selfless action is actually much more stable and steady and unwavering than action which has got some, I want this result out of it. You can keep it going. And the likelihood is if you keep it going, actually, ironically, the results will be a lot better. Because just by the fact you don't give up. You don't give up because it's the nature of presence. The nature of presence which is specific, here. And the energy of that starts to radiate, suffuse. And it's marked by resolve, steadiness, calm. And it's always associated with goodwill. Where that goodwill is compassion, kindness, responsibility, non-violence, honesty, clarity. However you want to differentiate qualities of kusala, goodwill, kind, whether it's a heart quality or it's a discernment quality. And the commentaries, when they talked about so we reflect on what in the establishment of mindfulness, there are two other properties that go along with it. One is attapi, which means one is enthusiastic, one is eager. Yeah. I'm lit up for that. I'm ready for that. I'm with that. And the other is sampajano, which is mean I'm measuring, fully aware, comprehending, looking into the topic of how it works very thoroughly. Sampajano, and the two go together because you need to maintain that sense of enthusiasm in order to keep sustaining practice. And naturally, sometimes we're practicing with some very difficult experiences, ill health, mental disturbance, emotional despond, gloom, low energies, don't feel sick, and so forth. I'm not really enthusiastic about that at all. I just want it to go away. But but one can be enthusiastic about, hey, this is this is something to be handled. This is something not getting in the way of my practice. This is my practice. My practice is about being sick. Yeah. Yeah. So Sampajano says, let's actually place your sati in a real life context. You're mindful of being sick. You're mindful of feeling unhappy. You're mindful of having domestic crisis and problems. Yeah. So it places, and it says, well, in this situation, let's be clear about what's going on. Non-delusion. Not whether I want it or not, I like it. There is conflict, there is agitation. I feel very, I can't manage this. I feel really out of my depths with this. I feel overwhelmed. Okay, that's what's going on. Yeah. And then one has a purpose. The purpose is to establish presence, mindfulness, to the extent to which one can be present with that experience without feeling fighting with it or overwhelmed with it. You can get some space around it. And there's a steady, appropriate energy of practice towards that. And it's one is then keen to establish this quality of sampajano. And as I've outlined, there are these different facets to sampajano. One is called non-delusion. So non-delusion is not, well, she's like this and he's like that, and why? No, non-delusion is I'm feeling this. I'm feeling I'm mistreated, unfairly treated. That's what I'm not. She is like this, which, yeah. But actually, the real point is getting is the disappointment or the not being understood. And that, so we're really with what's touching the citta. We're not going spinning off into narratives. That already is a very stabilizing thing. Once you know, I really feel very badly treated, frustrated, let down, even resentful. Okay, I'm feeling resentful. I shouldn't feel resentful. You're feeling resentful. Then you're not deluded. Okay, now then so we're even being able to say that and think, oh, then it becomes, oh, that's that. And that's the nature of true recognition, is once you really get it, this is what's going on, there's a certain sense of something, presence comes in, like, oh yeah, there's resentment. Yep. And resentment becomes an object rather than me. Rather than why do people treat me like rubbish? I never get a fair deal. There's resentment. Now, in some way, I'm not changing the emotion. I'm just saying that's that. And there's a sense of that's there, rather than something I'm feeling occasionally guilty about, or shouldn't have, or blaming others for, or blaming myself for. It's that. So there's a certain stability that occurs once you name with undiluted what's going on. And it's very important to have that quality that can actually get to the point. Yoniso proper attention will help to facilitate that sampajano. Another quality of sampajano is full comprehension with regard to with regard to domain, contextualize, contextualize. Yeah, this is happening in my body. Mm-hmm. This is happening in this family situation I'm in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, once you contextualize, rather than it being something that's universally true, like the world is a mess, so you contextualize. Oh, I'm aware of when I look into media coverage of political situations, I see there's a lot of that territory is a territory of continual discord. If you look into politics, you're always going to get some message of discord because that seems to be the characteristic of it. If you look into areas of governance, you can recognize it's always failing because it's even in the best intentions trying to do something that can't be done. You cannot actually, manage a group of people, 50 million people, like it's a single unit. There's so many differences in it. So somebody's always getting upset. And government is made up of human beings with their failings. So, and then we look at that. Well, what do you expect? So we see, but that's not where I am. That's the context I'm looking into. Now, if I change my context, look out at the trees and the jackdaws flying overhead over my cootie right now, which is very nice, and a little bit of sun coming in, and I'm in a different context, nature. Not it's sort of cool, vaguely dim blue, grey. This is Britain in February. There it is. I just feel kind of a little more spacious. But that's that. And I can be with that. Once we are knowing our context is always finite rather than infinite. So you don't get a feeling of being so completely overwhelmed by the context. There's pain in my body. Yeah, definitely. But I'm not in pain. My body's experiencing pain, quite unpleasant. Yeah. And then with the awareness of that, there's a sense of maybe compassion arises. Because when we use this contextualizing, instead of being gripped by situations which we feel ourselves embedded in, we find situations which we can experience a kind of a clear response, dispassion, equanimity, compassion, so on. Or even breaking the deadlock of the context, I can deal with this particular aspect of the context. I can't deal with the world, but I can deal with these 5 people. Or my office, people who live in my office or work together. So this gives that sense of stability, which enables one to find the context with which you can operate, with which there can be a proper ethical and compassionate response. And then there's a feeling of, I wish I could do more, but this I can do. Yes, the world is inevitably seemingly unresolvable, but I can work with these 3 people to form around a harmonious situation. So gochara is the term, means resort or domain or context. When we're on a meditation retreat, 3-month retreat here, a lot of the context is about silence and stability and not engagement. But the last few days, we've had a period of engaged work. And suddenly shifts. Context is now there's 15 of us. We're going to work out how to get wood in, how to fix the monastery, tidy up, clean up, to get things working. Now we are, as a group, engaging with each other because the context has changed. The domain has changed. Another one is purpose. One is the purpose is to be clear to bring forth the skillful. Yeah. Never to be frustrated and feeling impotent, because you can always bring forth the skillful, which could be just, I abide with equanimity and maintain attention to see where change occurs. I abide with a sense of goodwill, and I remain attentive to where that could possibly manifest in terms of external actions. So we begin to see purpose in action, not so much in terms of events that occur externally, but the stirring of the heart is the beginning of action. And it's the beginning of action that one could be clearest and most established in. When this is affected by presence, gives you the root, the foundation. When there's presence, you have a definite, specific foundation, which is clear, resolved, and from that, you're only going to find skillful responses. So then purpose becomes something that's never lost. Last one is called sapaya, which means appropriate or suitable. It refers both to one's ethical framework and also to what's within your reach, what's manageable. So again, it gives this like presence can be very specific, not personal, but still very subjectively specific. That's the point of it. Awareness is pretty non-specific. Presence has always got specific here. Here it is now. Yeah. So then energy that comes from that is always measured. It's not, no, not measured is not the wrong word. It's always composed. It's never wildly overreaching, nor is it faltering. And it's held in ethical framework. Yeah. So we begin that with that sense. You know, we're aware, we're present, heart opens because it's not thrown out into the external context, it's allowed to open. It's allowed to open its own time. And then aware of the context, clear of the context. And feeling the beginning of feeling that stirring of the good heart. Stirring of the good heart. And then suitable energy to apply that and where that gets applied. This is the function of sampajano. And sometimes it's going to be, how do I deal with my sense of depression? Okay, let's just work on that. This is changing. Is it filling your body? Yeah. Appropriate response. Take some time. Go for a walk. Seek company. Yeah. So it can be very intimate and person specific, or it can be something that's a little more widely extended. But this is why one is so eager, because to learn these skills and facilities, there's no technique as such. All the time, you just got to keep learning it. It's a learning program. By establishing presence, and then you start to check out where's the right energy, where is it non-deluded, sense of some degree of purpose. It's not goal-oriented, but my purpose is to be wakeful and to keep tuning in and to keep seeing where skillfulness can arise. I'm interested in that. Even if it's just the skillfulness to stay steady and stable, or to rest even. There's some sort of directive, and one is appropriately living in appropriate, putting in appropriate context, situation, personal, interpersonal, relational fields. How we are with others, which is, of course, a very skillful topic indeed. And it validates and helps to enrich the field of our relationships. This is perhaps where we learn it most directly and most Uh, interestingly, yeah. Because with another person, with other people, you're definitely getting the feedback of how one's energies move and how to hold them carefully with compassion and concern for each other. So I offer this for your reflection today, whether it's morning, evening, or night for you. And I'll pause there.
Handamayam Dhammakataya Sadhu Kadam Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami.
Everyone. So thanks for your attention. I hope some of that is useful. You can always refer to these if you want to review it on the Dhamma Stream website, the Buddha Dhamma Foundation website. You can go back and listen to bits that slipped by or you didn't quite get. And next time, I thought I'll offer a questions and answers session, or at least the questions session. You ask the questions and I'll see if I can come up with anything as an answer. And that's going to be, and there was somebody mentioned they were a bit confused as to the dates of these sessions. The next one is March 16th, Sunday at 1 o'clock, 1300 hours UK. And hope to see you there. You can post questions in the Dhamma tracks. If you get that, there's a comments button page you can put in the Dhamma tracks. I'll pick them up. Otherwise, we'll just do it on the hoof and see what comes out of the session. So thank you, George, and thank you, Peter. And let's all give a few moments of appreciation and good wishes for Peter in her current health situation. Thank you so much. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. The teaching so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The Blessed One's disciples, who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.
We'll offer 3 bows to Ajahn. First bow, second bow.
Okay, so see some of you again next time, here or there on the screen. Stay well, stay in context, maintain your presence. Bye for now.